My friends, liberals will tell you it's racist to worry about crimes committed by illegal immigrants. And I'm here to tell you it's not so. My name is Howard Real. The show is called Real Truth. A new government report shows that securing the border is absolutely crucial to keeping Americans safe. This comes from the Daily Caller. The Bureau of Justice Statistics, a nonpartisan government agency housed within the Department of Justice, recently published a report comparing the federal crime rates of citizens to non-citizens. And the results present a striking contrast to the mainstream media narrative. Non-citizens accounted for a whopping 64% of federal arrests in fiscal 2018. While this is largely due to immigration-related apprehensions, the report reveals that non-citizens also account for a disproportionate share of non-immigration-related arrests, especially for drugs and property crime. According to the report, 15% of arrests made by federal law enforcement in 2018 were of non-citizens, as were 15% of prosecutions for non-immigration offenses in federal district courts. While this may not sound like a huge figure, it's more than double the 7% share of the general population that non-citizens constitute, according to the most recent data from the Census Bureau. The BJS report also reveals non-citizens are significantly more likely to be arrested by federal law enforcement for some of the most egregious categories of crimes. Non-citizens accounted for a full 24% of all federal drug arrests, 25% of federal property arrests, and 28% of federal fraud arrests. Again, keep in mind non-citizens constitute just 7% of the U.S. population. Put simply, the report shows unequivocally that non-citizens commit crimes at significantly higher rates than citizens, just as President Trump has repeatedly pointed out, unquote. Folks, you remember a couple of weeks ago I mentioned a conversation I'd had with a real moron. He's for open borders. Anyone wants to come in, let him come in. I said, but I won't mention his name. I said, but first of all, people who come into our country illegally commit a lot of crimes. His answer was, well, so what? Native-born Americans also commit crimes. Now, if you are as astounded as I was of the sheer stupidity of that answer, you'll be even more surprised to learn that a lot of people think that way. We've already got crime, so what's the difference if we let in more criminals? I kid you not, there are people who think this way. Well, here's proof in this report that illegals commit a disproportionate amount of crimes. And so when we keep the border open, when we don't take extreme steps to dissuade people from coming in, they will commit crimes more so than if they were born here. And I mean egregious crimes. You've heard about what MS-13 does to people with saws and hammers and baseball bats. I needn't go into any further. Why on earth allow people to break our laws, come here, and then go on committing more crimes, or even, in the best of all possible worlds, becoming drags on the economy? What's the statistic about illegals who go on welfare? It's incredibly high. Why do that? Why allow negatives into the country? Shouldn't we be allowing only positives to come into the country? People who can sustain themselves, people who won't commit crimes. Does that not make sense? Well, now I think we've come to the crux of the issue, because America doesn't insist that things make sense anymore. Illogic rules in today's America. What's black is white, what's up is down, and what's absolutely poison for this country suddenly becomes a good thing. And if you're against it, you must be racist. Well, so goes America, my friends, and I'm not going to let it go. Not while I'm on duty and not while you're watching or listening to me do Real Truth. Item from ZeroHedge.com. The U.S. military has effectively surrounded Venezuela ahead of a possible military intervention. We've reported in the past that the Pentagon is jointly working with Colombia, Brazil, and other regional partners on how to crush Venezuela's economy so President Nicolas Maduro would step down. Now there's a new report that the U.S. military has been deployed to the impoverished South American nation of Guyana, first time in a decade. The country is located on South America's North Atlantic coast and borders Venezuela to the west. unquote. My friends, Venezuela has an incredible amount of oil under its ground. Why don't we help ourselves to that oil? Please spare me by saying, but, Howie, it's not our oil. Venezuela is a horror show. It's drowning. We need to save it. And the price for saving it is oil. Sound unreasonable? Venezuela has had these amazing oil reserves since forever. And look where they are. They are a socialist nightmare. Poverty reigns. People are eating zoo animals because they got nothing else to eat. If we're going to go in and save Venezuela, and you know that eventually we are, and it's going to cost the American taxpayers billions and billions of dollars, then the least we can do, as the president says, is get paid for our efforts. So if we're going to go in there and save their country and underwrite them to the tune of God knows how much money, at least we should help ourselves to their oil to help defray costs. If you think I'm right, if you think I'm wrong, call me and tell me during the next 50 minutes. 877-254-7524. We're going to end up rescuing Venezuela anyway, just as we've been supporting third world countries all over the planet since forever. We do it because we're nice guys. Well, that's all well and good, but it costs a lot to be a nice guy, and we just can't afford it anymore. And so we need to start charging for being a nice guy. What is it, Luke Cage, hero for hire? We can be heroes, but we better be hired and be paid a fee. We are going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to be talking about a Swedish behavioral study that says we should become cannibals. And we're going to look at the smoking gun. 7 juveniles have been charged with placing either semen or urine in food that they recently served to teachers at an Ohio middle school. My friends, what the hell is happening to mankind? I do not know. All I know is that it's bad, and I take it as my mission to fight against it and preserve all that's decent and good and holy in this world. I'm glad you're joining me. The show is called Real Truth, and we'll be right back.